we've got crews on the ground too. Let's cross to KwaZulu-Natal, where Dasen Thathiah is standing by with an update. Dasen, what's actually going on as far as you can see? Any shutdown threats?
Well, Annika, I was just listening to that bite from our Premier, Sihle Zikalala, that you just played, and what I can tell you is what he said there is actually what we are seeing on the ground now. It is a normal day. It is business as usual in most parts of Durban, and definitely an increased police presence. We are here in Chatsworth now. It's one of the areas that we've been visiting this morning. You'll see that there's a briefing taking place. That's the station commander from Chatsworth, Brigadier Kevin James. He's talking to his crews here as they move around this area to do regular patrols, just to make sure that they are seen. That's been the situation at most of the areas that we've visited. Very minor incidents. There was one that was circulating on WhatsApp groups. It's where we crossed from earlier, a protest on Mgeni Road. But I think it's important that I say at this point, Annika, that any protest that takes place today cannot necessarily be tied to any national shutdown, because this is Durban. This is a place that we see protests popping up regularly, issues around service delivery, housing and other sorts, and this could very well be one of those cases. But there's definitely a sense of reassurance that has been coming from government, from law enforcement agencies, and that's because the last time around, I think citizens, by and large, felt like they'd been failed by these agencies who had been sleeping at a time when they needed them the most. So this time around, it's definitely a more proactive approach, and lots of information coming through saying that there will not be a repeat. As you heard the Premier saying there, that there's been no formal request, there's been no grievances that have come to them. So at this point, what they're dealing with is just these rumors, and really it seems like it's an invisible enemy that they are guarding against.
Dasen, if I have to, look at the footage coming out from you now, with all these police behind you, and a month ago, there's such a stark difference. You've got so much intelligence. You've been working on this story from the very beginning. We heard similar rumors last time that there was going to be unrest and the police were not ready. Do you think that they were told to just not take things seriously, or were they stopped from taking things seriously?
That's the biggest question, isn't it, as to exactly why we hardly saw any of these police officers there. But remember, they, as the SAPS, are also fighting their own internal battles with management issues as well. So, it can't always be brought down to the officers on the ground. Unfortunately, that's who the public sees, but it's not necessarily a fault of those officers in those cases. It's also a situation that we saw the last time. It is a situation that we had never seen before. So many people, even the general public, were not ready for that. It then raises the question, as you rightfully mentioned, where was intelligence in all of that? This time around, it's a completely different mood, but it also begs another question, Annika. How long can we keep this going for? What if there's another rumor next week or the week after, and so on and so forth? How long would police be able to manage this? We can't just be basing this on rumors. There has to be solid intelligence that comes to play to say that there's a real threat, and this is the deployment that they're going to have as a result of that.
You're so right. It's this invisible warfare. And do we jump, or do the security services jump every time a few WhatsApp messages go around? Last question, any idea of how residents of Phoenix are feeling today? Are they a little bit jumpy or pretty normal there?
I think it's not exclusive to Phoenix. It's just generally monitoring these WhatsApp groups that you have in the different areas. I'm in some of them, and I've been watching the mood there. People are definitely anxious. They were anxious from last night already. There were messages going about. Every few minutes you see a resident asking, is this road clear? Is it safe there? Can I travel? You'd understand that they're feeling this way after what they saw the last time around. But this time, the biggest difference from the community side is that there's a lot more structure. There's a structured approach. They are working closely with police. There were meetings that were leading up to today where the CPFs had been meeting with police in their areas and planning how they're going to do this. But the biggest takeaway, I think, from the last time was that because there was little control of how the public was taking this into their own hands, that's when we saw issues, where we saw things going wrong. So this time, there's been a clear directive. There can be no stopping and searching by normal residents. There can be no racial profiling, limiting entry into areas. So if this is anything to go by, and this morning being incident-free almost already, hopefully it means that there'll be a better relationship between the community and police to take care of their own areas and to defend their communities.
Dasen Thathiah out there in Chatsworth for us. Thank you always for really having your ear to the ground and being out in the field for us today.